What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, an authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. This is the pre-match build-up for the game between Manchester United and Manchester City. City in the Community Shield. It's a glorified trophy. If a glorified friendly, should I say, if City win it, it's, you know, if we win it, it's the Champions League, basically. It's the most important trophy in English football. That's how I'm individually going to assess it anyway. Of course, the starting lineups are out. Hopefully, you can see that graphic on your screen. We have Andre Onana in net. We have Diego Dalot at right back. Harry Maguire as your right centre-back, or maybe your left centre-back. Johnny Evans as your left centre-back. We think Lisandro Martinez at left back, which was something we mentioned. I mean, we've just literally been live. The majority of you would have already seen. But we was live before talking about De Ligt and Majari coming in, and some news broke about Lisandro at left back, which I think that is fascinating, by the way, and which I've spoken about in depth about the potential of him playing there, and he'd probably be really, really good. Because the way our system is, it's very fluid. You have like Dalot dropping into midfield, Casemiro will split the centre backs, Lisandro will push up a little bit. So I'm interested to see actually how Leacher cracks on there. And who knows, maybe you'll see a backline one day of Yoro, De Ligt, Dalot and Martinez. Who knows, But showcasing, what a player he is. And, Ten Hag not trusting Hamas was a little bit like, okay, but maybe he's, taking him out the firing line. I'm not sure. I'd love to hear everyone's opinions on that and how they feel. Moving into the midfield, we have Casemiro, Mason Mount and Mainu. I called this. I don't want to be that guy who says I told you so, but I said Mason Mount would start. He's had a very good pre-season. Gives you energy and legs in that midfield, which you need against Manchester City. And I had a feeling that Bruno would start as a false nine, and I said there's no chance Jadon Sancho starts in that position. So points are valid there. Ahmad on the right-hand side, which I didn't expect. Well, actually, I think I may have put him in my team, actually. I think I did put him in there, but I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if Garnacho starts, simply because he's a trusted winger in it. Like, Ten Hag does like to go with him, to be fair. And then Marcus Rashford as your left. So you're going to see rotation. I think ZIRKZEE, I'd be excited to see him get a couple of minutes. But one question I'm going to throw to you guys who are joining us just right now. Make sure you smash the like on the video for us if you can. What percentage, straight off the bat, would you give ourselves today in a game? So looking at that team, knowing how we're lining up, I'm not sure how Man City are lining up. I don't know if their lineups come out yet. I'll have a look for it. And I'll get our subs bench on there as well, so we can go through that. But I'm feeling a bit more positive seeing that team. I think that's the strongest team we could have put out. I think you would argue. I won't swap anyone out of there, out of the options that we've got. I mean, on the bench, we've got Bayern, Collier, Eriksen, McTominay, Pellistri, Anthony, Garnacho, Sancho, ZIRKZEE. Maybe Garnacho in there. But obviously there's questions over that, whether he's going to start on the left, will he start on the right, will he be a starter now? And then Ahmad pushed down to the bench. That is a conversation that we need to have and need to discuss. So yeah, let's see who Man City are going with, because then I can really assess the game then, and I know what we're coming up against and what potential threats they're going to have. So they've got Edison in net, Rico Lewis, Akanji, Diaz, Gvardiol. That's a pretty strong backline. Kovacic, O'Reilly, McAtee, Bob, Doku, and Haaland. So the front three is actually very dangerous. Doku, Bob, and Haaland. Oscar Bob has been phenomenal for them in pre-season. Looked really, really bright. There's a lot of noise around McAtee as well, saying he's a decent player. Doku has caused problems. We knew that. And we haven't got Wan-Bissaka on the pitch to deal with him. So hopefully Dalot or Martinez, whichever side he's at, has a decent game. Look, no Rodri, no Foden, no Walker, no Stones, which is good news. But that's still a decent team. It's still a strong team. And they will keep the ball for long, large spells of the game. They will try and make it difficult. But let's not forget, lads, the last time we played them at Wembley, we all know the crack. We all know what happened. Two of our academy graduates scored goals, one of them being from Stockport. So, look, if it's any kind of form of positivity that we can take into it, that is something that I'm definitely clinging on to. What kind of form are they in? You look at City's pre-season. I don't think they've been, majestic. They've won 3 out of 4. Beat Chelsea, in the last game. We had a similar kind of mixed pre-season. Drew 1, lost 1, lost a couple, won 1. So it was a mixed bag. Sometimes you can't really go off pre-season too much, but That's the only form you can go off because there's been no competitive games at the minute. So you have to reflect on that slightly. I always said, going into this, we'd have to go with a false 9 setup because we haven't got a striker. And even if ZIRKZEE was fully fit and firing and ready to go, he's a similar kind of profile. So it was always going to be that system, which made me think Pep Guardiola would have been expecting this. He knew we didn't have any Rasmus Højlund, so he probably knew what was going to happen. And with us being successful against Man City, you don't have to, be a fucking scientist or a mathematician to figure out we was probably going to go with this setup. So I'm interested to see what tweaks he's made. Because in the last game in the FA Cup final, from what I remember, we kind of stifled the middle of the pitch. We put numbers in there with Amrabat, Mainu, Bruno, and was it McTominay or something? I can't remember who else it was. Kind of dropping deep and really making that area compact and forcing them out wide. And when you have wing backs like Kyle Walker, I think Cavadio maybe it was on the other side, who made the mistake for the Garnacho goal, they're not like your Cancelos, basically. They're not the Trents. Like, they can't affect the game too much in a sense where they're going to whip across from deep and it's just going to, inch perfect on the man. So we forced them out wide, and when the wing backs kept pushing up, obviously naturally they leave space in behind, and that's how we hurt him. And that's where the first goal came from, and that's where the second goal came from. Garnacho loads of space on the right hand side, cuts it to Bruno. Bruno gives that no look, and Kobbie Mainoo scores that goal. So we're obviously hoping for a similar result and a similar performance, right? But it's not going to be the same game. It just won't, because of the quality that's missing on the pitch, especially for Man City. They're missing, some of their best players. So I hope it's competitive. That's one thing I want to say. I don't want to see a dry, cagey, nonsense, back and forth game. I want to see competitive, couple of goals either side. Let's really go for it. And let's give the United fans something to taste for the start of the season against Fulham. Because I think, with the new signings coming in De Ligt and Mazraoui that got announced just before we went live, which obviously we just covered, that brings more excitement to the team and there's a bit more hope and positivity. And I think the best thing you can do at the minute is springboard off that positivity, beat City as well, your local, whether it's a Community Shield or not, and people will say they're not bothered about it. It is Manchester City, so it's a direct Manchester rival. So you want to beat them and you want to carry that momentum for the start of the season against Fulham at Old Trafford. And Old Trafford will be absolutely bouncing. You probably get the new signings either being announced or even starting the game or being on the bench. So that is exciting. Now, to bring it down a little bit, and I will get into the comments in a minute, Casemiro in the midfield is going to be a talking point every single game. And I don't know whether I personally, I don't know if you guys agree, I don't know if I have the mental strength to be discussing why Casemiro should not be starting in the midfield. So, look, there's positivity about bringing the centre-backs in, De Ligt and Mazraoui and Yoro and ZIRKZEE. That's fine. But until we change that midfield, I am not going to be fully confident going into the season. That is a position that needs prioritising. And according to Romano, when he put out last night, United are going to sign a midfielder, a centre-back, a right-back in Mazraoui, and maybe one more, like a free agent or a cheap signing. And putting his neck out on the line like that, Romano doesn't usually do that. So we're obviously pushing for the midfield deal, but that is one that is a key signing. Because if this man here, Casemiro, is starting every single game, that is going to hinder us and the way we want to play. And I think Erik ten Hag knows that. Something I'd also like to discuss as well is, where is this team at mentally from last season? Because a lot of people talk about the players' abilities and what they're not good at and what they are good at and these kind of things. What they're not good at sometimes is their mental strength. You saw games like Crystal Palace, games like Bournemouth, for example. A lot of these games where they go one down and they just go into the shell and they look vulnerable and fragile. But then you get games like the final where they look strong, competitive, had the spirit about them. But there was a lot of things going into that. It was a combination of, will the manager go, will he not? It kind of depends on this game. We had an awful season. We're finishing 8th, but then an FA Cup win could rise us up. So there was a lot of question marks around that, and the guys stepped up. But we've seen these guys step up when it matters, not do it on a consistent basis. And I think that's the difference with this team. Right, let's see what you lovely people are saying. Dan Fenton saying, absolutely buzzing now with the news De Ligt and right back coming in. Can't wait to see De Ligt and Martinez playing together. Random guy saying, Leach at left back, Maguire at right centre back. I thought he was under precaution. Apparently not. Apparently he's ready. Prediction on tactics. Leach would invert and play as a DM, and Mainu and Casemiro was a double pivot. Mount and Bruno as false nines. I think that's a great shout, random guy. Could certainly see that. Let's get Uarte to top it off with great news. De Ligt and right back and Amrabat too. Right, let's go back to the United team because I'm too busy looking at City's team there. The question is for you lot, what would you honestly be satisfied with right now coming away from this game? Do you just, obviously I know the majority of you will want to win, but what would honestly satisfy you? Would it a good performance, competitive, end-to-end game? If we just get beat 2-1, would you be happy if you see patterns, if you see competence in the back line, or do you really want to take it to him? Do you want to, smash him 2-3-0? Is that even realistic? I don't know. There's a lot of question marks around this game, isn't there? You just don't know what to expect. But I just hope it's not like a 3-0 City, because that will really put a dampening on my mood at the minute. I'm proper looking forward to this game. Random guy, was it random guy who put that in the chat before? Yeah, random guy alluded to it before, and I kind of wanted to touch on this myself. The front five is something I'm interested to see as a collective, how they work together, how they press, combinations on the ball. You've got Bruno and Mount, who are extremely quick thinkers. You've got Ahmad, who's in really good form. Rashford looks sharp in pre-season as well. Mainu coming back into the team. We haven't seen him at all. How fit is he going to be? So yeah, I think they've got options there, and they've got players who are quick thinkers. And a sluggish City coming off pre-season, a Community Shield, there's definitely, this isn't halfway through the season when they get going. It's very early. We're not even in the season technically yet. So you can hurt City there, I think. Now, on to stats. United have won the most Community Shields out of any team. I think it's like 21. The past 3-4 times, the Community Shield winner has always been the FA Cup winner. So anyone for omens or superstitions, that plays into our hand. The last time we played Man City in an official final, we beat them. Touched on that before. And Garnacho and Mainu have more final goals than Haaland. Sorry. And Haaland played 6 finals and scored in 0. So, yeah, it looks like the odds are in our favour in that sense. But I'm just eager, man. I can't tell you how long, and I've been waiting just for some normal football, because pre-season's fine and some people like it and whatever. But it's just not competitive football. And like 60 minutes, they take everyone off. They bring the youngsters on. I have nothing against the youngsters, but it just becomes very flat, very slow, and you're almost yawning until the finish line. This, for 90 minutes, should be interesting, and that's what I'm excited to really, get into, because it's been a while since we've seen United in a slightly competitive game. June the 10th was the final, I think. So 2 months, 2 months exactly, almost, to the last time we played City. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to it. Today's been a bit of a blur, because there's been so many things ongoing. Like I said, we had the De Ligt news break before, and that's kind of threw me completely off. So yeah, I'll discuss De Ligt a little bit more in depth in about 5-10 minutes time, because I felt like me and Sam kind of rushed that show due to exterior things. So we'll circle back to that if you like shortly. Just on Manchester City, obviously ones to watch in this game. Oscar Bob, I touched on, had a very good pre-season, looking sharp, could be the next one to break into that team. They always have one or two who are rising. Palmer, Phil Foden, Rico Lewis, who's starting today. McAtee looked really good in pre-season as well. Haaland has also had a full pre-season. So, obviously, he didn't go to the Euros with Norway, so he'll be fit and firing and ready to go, and I think he could be a problem today, especially against Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans, who aren't the quickest. So, that is one I would definitely keep an eye on. They are machine, but they can be slow starters. So, yeah, I think the fact that the 4 key players are out will definitely give us a hand. Going to be large spells where we don't have the ball. So the reason why I keep this reoccurring theme of mental strength is because of that. I think when we do get the ball, you're going to have to be switched on, and more things like reactions and composure. Then they're the qualities I'm looking for today, because both teams will be lacking it in parts. And I think whoever brings their A game is likely. Track your runners as well. That's another thing. Don't just get caught lapsing. Don't have a mistake in you. And I think players like Maguire, for as good as he's been last season, does have a mistake. So there are a couple of the things I want to pinpoint. Just on City in general for the league, how do we feel about them? Do we feel like they're just certified to win it again? Why have they done almost no business? Are they waiting for an opportunity for a big player in the market, someone like a Florian Wirtz? Obviously, they just lost Julian Alvarez for £80 million or euros or whatever it is, which is still a massive fee. So are they going to reinvest that? If they get a couple of signings in before the end of the window and the big signings, I would, I think it's nailed on for them to win it, because Arsenal's not even done business, you know? And they bought Calafiori in, but that's it. Is that going to take them to win the title? I think Arsenal need a striker as well. If they bought a striker, I think they've definitely got a good chance. But both teams could potentially do business towards the end of the season. So I think them two are nailed on for top four. The rest is a real dogfight, especially for United to get back into that top four as well. It's not guaranteed. What's going on here? Oh, it said Julian Araujo then. I was like, Ronald Araujo to Bournemouth? What the fuck? But it's not. It's Julian Araujo. It's like the B-Tech version to Bournemouth. I was going to say, then that's a massive transfer that for them. So, yeah. Just some news coming in on De Ligt. Matthias De Ligt needs to be registered as a Manchester United player by midday on Thursday to be available for Friday night's game against Fulham. And also Fabrizio Romano has given the here we go on Aaron Wan-Bissaka as well. So he's officially joining West Ham. So happy for him. Hope he does well. Wish him all the best. But when we come up against West Ham in the league, I'm hoping we don't get absolutely locked down by him, whoever it is, Garnacho or Rashford. Because he is that guy in it. He can just lock down any winger, and I think that'll probably come back to bite us in the game against West Ham. I can just, come back to this video for reference. Random guy saying, do you think Ten Hag would change tactic in the second half? I think he's got options, man. I think, as much as people want to slander Jadon Sancho and Antony, and I get it, I understand it, they still offer something off the bench. So does McTominay, he's a goal scorer. So does ZIRKZEE, new signing. So there's options there. There's decent options. I mentioned the bench before. Let's just have a quick look at it again. Bayern, Collier, Eriksen. Not going to do. Eriksen sometimes creativity. McTominay can score goals. Antony has got a point to prove after that interview that he did and all those quotes that were coming out. So, now he's time to prove it. Garnacho, I've not even mentioned. Garnacho off the bench could be really good. Sancho and ZIRKZEE. So attacking-wise, I think it's good, man. Sometimes you'd look at our bench last season and you'd go, who the fuck is that? Who the fuck is that? Never heard of this guy, because we had no senior players. It was just all basically the under-18s on the bench. So sometimes when the players were tired towards the end of the season and you're looking for someone to come in and do the job, you're like, well, we can't just throw this young kid on. He's not even played before. It's a lot of pressure. Now it's slightly different. We've got talent there, and a lot of that talent need to prove themselves. So these kind of games, your opportunities. Tiger UK says, amazing signings and what a moral boost before the Charity Shield. Absolutely, Tiger. Completely agree with that. No Rodri, by the way. I'd predict some mistakes. Mistakes from both sides. That's why I think there are goals in this game, Random. I do. I wish Aaron Wan-Bissaka all the best. I'm sure United fans do, and I'm sure he'll get a proper goodbye. Like I said, Fabrizio Romano 4 minutes ago just said, Mazraoui, here we go. So we knew the De Ligt deal was done. We knew the other one was kind of pending on Wan-Bissaka. Fabrizio's give us the here we go on Wan-Bissaka, and now we've got the here we go on Mazraoui. So in the Shrew Mazraoui to Man United, here we go. Green light as planned after Wan-Bissaka's move to West Ham. Mazraoui will cost €20 million, add-ons included. Payment terms favourable as Man United wanted. Mazraoui signs a 5-year deal plus 1 more year negotiated by Rafaela Pimenta, who is the agent for both De Ligt and Mazraoui, I think, or he is a part of the transfer kind of thing. So, exciting times, man. Exciting times. Look, there's never a fantastic time to sign players, but it's always great when you do. To do it an hour before the game shocked me, because United don't tend to do transfer business before, a big game. It don't usually happen, but with it being Community Shield, maybe that's slightly different. I don't know. I'm really, really happy that they've come in, because obviously they didn't expect Yoro's injury, so there wouldn't have been as much pressure. But what I've always said, and what a lot of you guys in the chat have always said about the centre-back situation is, Bayern Munich are in the exact same boat, Bayer Leverkusen to give them a deadline, and they've said, look, if you don't pay it by this deadline, we're going to keep him because he's an integral part to our team. So you either pay it or you don't. So obviously Bayern have gone back to the drawing board and they said, look, we're not going to accept what you guys have offered, let's say 30 million, but we will lower our price slightly. And that's how we can get a deal done. And look, they've not dropped off the price significantly. They asked for 42. I think we're paying like 38. So there's 4 or 5 million in it. that they've dropped it. But I still think it's a good deal. I think 38 million with add-ons, I think it is for De Ligt, is very good. He's only 24 years old, and players and ex-players, and pundits will tell you, oh, they weren't great for Bayern Munich and he weren't great for Juventus, so I don't see why United. And it's a former Ten Hag signing, and you're like, okay, all right. There was probably similar worries in terms of him being a former Ten Hag signing with Lisandro Martinez. And I think if we sat here now as a collective, the majority would say he's probably one of our best players, Lisandro. He's certainly one of our most important players. So, and we're getting De Ligt for 20 million less than Lisandro. And think about De Ligt's reputation. So, look, and he's half the price of Branthwaite almost. I'm not saying that's the reason why you should go buy someone. But when you put it in perspective, I think it's a good deal. He's willing to take a wage cut. That is something I want to see for both players. What wages are they going to be on? I haven't seen any details on them so far, so when they do get released, we can certainly talk about that. But De Ligt was eager to join United. He didn't want to speak to any other clubs, although there was clubs interested. He was only focused on United, rejoining. And I think what a lot of people are going to like about Matheus De Ligt is character. Again, I hate referencing the same players, but Lisandro Martinez, one thing that resonates with United fans, he is like a fan on the pitch. He gets it. Like, the love for the club that he has is huge, and you can see the way he reacts to fans. He spent all day, I don't know if it's today or yesterday, like, signing autographs and stuff for him. He gets it, he understands it, and not only that, it's then married with his competence on the pitch of how good of a player he is. So, and De Ligt, I'm telling you, leadership qualities, strong, physical. He really is one of those traditional centre-backs that will get in. I think him and Lisandro together could be really good. The only initial concern I would have with them both is they're not Van de Ven or Saliba pace-like. So if you're going to play a high line the occasional time, I think you will get caught out. But Leny Yoro is that guy. So there's room for rotation there. That's one thing that we're concerned with. But I think both of them, De Ligt, is a decent signing. TTM says, here we go. Yeah, I touched on that before with Mazraoui. I always feel really clustered because I want to discuss the game, but I'm also very excited about these two signings that have just come through. So I don't think I have enough time to cover absolutely everything. It's crazy. After all the frustration and gloom, I think Ineos did the right thing. They helped fix our money-spending machine reputation. Yeah, look, when you isolate each transfer, right? So Leny Yoro, what was he, 50 million? Real Madrid were after him. You had to overpay a little bit to kind of get Leo to push the boat out and say, okay, let's have a discussion, Yoro. He's come over. He looks like a very promising centre-back, and I would argue his ceiling is as high as any young centre-back in the world at the minute. So that's an exciting signing, 50 million quid. Then you've got Matheus De Ligt, 40 million quid. So 90 million pounds for two centre-backs that are aged 18 and 24 on both huge ceilings. Whatever people want to say about Matheus De Ligt, not Golden Ball winner, what was it? The young... Can't remember the specific name. He won a trophy when he was at Ajax, young ball or something, golden ball for a centre-back, the only one to win it. So his ceiling is huge as well. And we've got longevity now in these signings. ZIRKZEE's 23 years old, 7 years until he's 30. De Ligt, 24, 6 years until he's 30. Yoro, 18, 12 years until he's 30. Even signing players like that, Chido Obi Martin, we're thinking about the future. We're going away from signing players like Nemanja Matic and Alexis Sanchez and Radamel Falcao and Odion Igalo and these kind of guys. Cavani, as much as I loved him, you shouldn't have signed him. We're going away from this. And what happens with that is you have a sell-on fee, because ZIRKZEE is going to be 28, let's say, by the time his contract finishes. If we perform how we think he's going to do, it's naturally going to push his price up. So when we actually, and his wage as well is like 70k. So when we actually come to sell them, we're not going to find the similar troubles that we have like we do now with players. Like, we struggle and we have to take a lesser fee and then we have to pay them a compensation package. I don't think you're going to see a lot of that moving forward for the next 5 years. So that's exciting in itself. And you're seeing the knock-on effects. You will see it in a few years' time. And it will take a couple of years to really get rid of the deadwood. But we're almost there. Well, it's a good start, should I say. We're not almost there. I love how quickly we sorted this. As soon as Wan-Bissaka got announced properly. Are we live? I'm live, yeah. I'm live right now. Yeah. From the start of the week, it was good. We're short at the back now, buzzing with De Ligt and the right back. Just needed Duarte. Centre defensive midfielder would be the cherry on top of the cake. Well, I think that cherry will come, Dan. Don't you worry about that. Richard saying, come on, you Reds. Come on, you Reds. Just keep your bottle and use your heads for 90 minutes. We'll let them know who's Man United. Here we go. Absolutely. I'm happy you're all excited. If you're happy, I'm happy. And I'm feeling positive ahead of this game. Like I said, no watch along for the game today because I am going to go watch it at the pub. But the rest of the games, I'm going to do watch alongs for. So, yeah. Always welcome to come and join me for that. I thought I'd do a quick pre-match build-up just to give you guys something. I never want to just leave it high and dry there. But again, I would have gone live for someone as well, but a lot of people, lads are busy at the minute, especially Sam. So, yeah, thank you for joining in. I appreciate you all. I shall let you all go and enjoy the game. If you can, be so kind, leave a like on the video for us, subscribe to the channel, and we'll be live probably later on today, I would say, with a review of the game. There'll be, a couple of hours. We'll try fit it in somehow. But yeah, it is on TV, so go and enjoy it, go and watch it. Plenty to discuss tonight and tomorrow, and we'll be active as fuck on this channel as always. So turn on that notification bell so you do not miss a thing. Enjoy the game, up the fucking Reds. Let's go beat City again, shall we? See you in a